Okay, I will call the regular meeting of the Everman City Council to order. It is Tuesday, February 21st, 2021. The time is 6:31. Everybody please rise for a moment of silence while I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's already comfortable.
The first item is consent agenda. Minutes from the January 17th, 2023 meeting, financial January 2023. I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Have anything, Craig or Susan?
No, everything appears to be on target where it should be.
Okay. Do you poll the council?
Place one,
Aye.
place two,
Aye.
place three,
Aye.
place four,
Aye.
place five,
Aye.
place six,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next up, citizens' comments, public hearing to hear citizens' comments on the proposed city of Everman budget amendments. Time is 6:32. Anybody have anything? Got anything, Steve? Richard? Okay, well, I will close the public hearing. Time is 6:33. Item A, or consideration possible action, item A, approve updated job description for the position of emergency communications specialist. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the updated job description for the position of emergency communication specialist. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Major change here is it used to be called police telecommunicator. Now we have telecommunicators that serve police and fire. So it's a title change and it's updating it to the current job description format that has all of the required legalese included in it. And they'll sign a copy of the job description as well. So it just brings it up to the new format. The job function is still the same.
Do we have any discussion?
I have a question. One of the responsibilities is to receive and receipt monies for bonds, fines, and fees. Does the court clerk also have that responsibility?
Yes, ma'am. So the funds are received and placed into a safe. They have to be tracked. Those funds are then transferred from the police department facility to the court clerk, who then takes care of making sure that we route those bonds appropriately. A lot of times we collect bonds for other agencies, people that may be in our facility for another agency. So she will make sure to put the funds in the appropriate accounts to route those funds to those appropriate locations. Yes, she serves that function. We serve that function for people that we have in custody on a 24-hour basis.
Any other questions? Poll the council.
Place one,
Aye.
place two,
Aye.
place three,
Aye.
place four,
Aye.
place five,
Aye.
place six,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item B, approve updated job description for the position of communication supervisor. I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the updated job description for the position of communications supervisor. Second.
Motion made and seconded for discussion.
I have a couple. On here, it lists, must be able to lift 20 pounds and, work in extended heat. Is that not everybody's, on everybody's, responsibility or what, or not?
No, not on this one. So the supervisors may be tasked with working out in the field. If we have an extensive operation that we need dispatchers out in the actual fields for mobile operations, they may be required and exposed to that type of working environment. So that's why it's included on this job description.
Okay, and how many people would this person be responsible for?
So there will be 2 communication supervisors in the communications division, and there's a total of 15 personnel in that division. So they will take each side of the week. There should be about 6 individuals below the communication supervisor altogether.
Okay, and they'll be under, the supervisors will be up under.
The director of communications.
Any other questions? Poll the council.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye. Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item C, approve allocation of $90,000 in ARPA funds for the electrical overhaul of the Columbine well site. We'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve allocation 9,000 ARPA funds for electrical overhaul of the Columbine well site.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes.
I already know where the question are. If you want me to explain.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Take it away.
All right. So currently we have a performance here, and I can share this with you if you would like, which might be better. Let me just share this with you. So currently we have approximately $337,000 in ARPA funds that has not been spent. But before everybody gets all super excited, let me throw out the caveats with me. Much better. All right, so as we're going to discuss later on in the agenda, we're going to have some budget amendments that we're proposing. As a part of those budget amendments, that includes about $102,000 in additional ARPA funds that we will be asking you to approve to balance the budget from last year. The ARPA funds now can be utilized and have been for about the last 7 or 8 months, whenever the Treasury Department changed the rules. They can be utilized by non-entitlement units, which includes the city of Everman, for any municipal purpose. I've clarified that with the attorney. So we're going to recommend on that later agenda item that we utilize $102,000 of ARPA funds to balance the budget so that we do not have to pull from reserves or do anything. We'll actually look to contribute to reserves, and that amount will come out when the audit is complete. So roughly, we've got about $235,000 in unallocated funds in ARPA that have not been spent. We're going to ask that you allocate $90,000 to the Columbine well site. This will be the last remaining well site that needs a complete electrical overhaul and rehabilitation. We've done this already at the high school well site, Shelby well lot, and the PD well lot. This will include a new building that's put out there with all the electrical wiring inside. It'll make sure that the electrical stability of the well will remain in good shape for many years to come. Does that help answer some of the questions that maybe you had?
Sort of, but.
Sure.
Columbine's our new well, isn't it?
The well, the pump itself that pulls the water up, yes. The electrical it's connected to, not new, not inclusive. There was already one well site there, which I believe was a Paluxy well site. So it was tapped into the Paluxy water source. We added a Trinity well site there as well. So that's just the machinery, the electrical between the machinery and the electrical housing and the pump, the drilling, all that down into the well. We're looking to replace and rehabilitate the existing electrical that was already there, the existing panels.
That's what I want.
Electrical rewire, everything
Okay.
that was already there. That has not been
Okay,
replaced.
because we just put a new well there and I'm
Yes.
thinking, why are we paying for this again?
Yes,
But we just put the pump in
That
the
$1
well.
million well was just the pump and the well.
Okay,
and
okay,
everything together. Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
And the rehabilitation of this is also a requirement of TCEQ.
Yes.
Didn't we approve $80,000 for this exact same electrical November 1st?
I don't believe we approved it. We were going to bring it to you, but I put it on hold until we could make sure that we were good with the auditors and make sure that we were good with the final amount. But we did not make a final approval on this one. It was set as an agenda item, but I believe we pulled that and asked to delay that, if I remember correctly.
Okay, when will it be complete? The whole project?
The electrical will take probably about a month to complete, and that should be the last thing that's needed at that well site. There shouldn't be any other work going on out there. The well's complete, the pump's installed, it's ready to go. We just need the new electrical in there to keep it all up and running the way it needs to be.
Okay, on a regular basis, there's water running from the well site all the way down to Columbine Street or Road. When will that cease?
I do not know the answer to that. I don't know what's causing, and I did get your email. Did you not get a response? Did we not get
No.
a response on that? Okay,
Well, some of the residents are wondering when that's going to.
rightfully so. I don't have that answer for you right now, but I will track that answer down immediately after the meeting and see if I can get that to you this evening. So you have that. I don't know what's causing that water to run down.
It's like they release it every other day or so.
Okay. I will certainly track that answer down for you.
Is there any more money that's going to be required for this well site?
That's a very loaded question, ma'am. I do not foresee any. Now, one thing that I will again highlight that I've highlighted before is that we have done a tremendous job of utilizing these funds for rehabilitating the existing electrical. One thing that we are failing in and that we have got to look at is we do not have contingency for reserve power at any of these pump sites, meaning that if the entire city of Everman loses power, our water supply system will lose power. We do not have generator backups at any of our well sites. The generator backups for a well site are going to cost roughly $450,000 to $500,000 per site. So it's not a cheap venture to go off into. But that is something that we need to be looking at somewhere down the line as a part of a capital improvement plan to get to. We do have, the Columbine Biloxi well is roughly 30 years old. I don't know when the last time the booster pumps were replaced. But those are the kinds of things that each one of our well sites that we have to examine because we may have continuing maintenance issues that we have to worry about going forward. The new well, we shouldn't have any maintenance issues out of. But we've got existing well sites, some that have been in place since 45, when the city was incorporated, that I don't know when the last time they were truly replaced. So those kind of issues come up. I don't foresee us allocating any additional ARPA funds for it. If any other further issues came up, it would be it would have to come from the Water Reserve Fund to address those.
Okay, will any of the ARPA funds be retained close to the end of the money being spent? I know there's a time when it has to be used up. Are you going to retain some of the ARPA funds just in case?
I am not bringing forth any more recommendations to spend those funds right now. This is.
Well, no, I'm saying with some of the money, will you just like for instance, if something does come up, will
Yes,
you
ma'am.
retain some of the money?
So after the $102,000 is expended, and I'm sorry, if council approves the budget amendments that we're proposing later this evening, that $102,000 is expended, and this $90,000 is approved. That'll leave us just a little bit over $100,000 left in ARPA funds that I plan to just keep there in ARPA funds that
Okay.
can be similarly, I can't say that word, similarly utilized as a contingency reserve fund in case we have something else that comes up.
But there is a time frame attached to that.
Yeah, 2025 is the deadline. We spend all fiscal. year.
It's good ways, yeah.
There's always something that's gonna come up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Just say it, Murphy.
Any other questions? Hold council.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2.
Aye.
Place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6.
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next item, item D, resolution 2023-02-03. Resolution of the city council of the city of Everman, Texas, approving an interlocal cooperation agreement for emergency dispatch services with Tarrant County Emergency Services District Number 1 and providing an effective date. I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve resolution 2023-02-03 as read.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Now this is for all of Tarrant County. It says District 1.
Yeah, so Tarrant, all of unincorporated Tarrant County falls within Tarrant County ESD District 1. When you create emergency services district, you have to number it. There is only one district in Tarrant County, so it's called
Right.
District 1. But this is inclusive of all the unincorporated areas of Tarrant County, including the Rendon Fire Department, Eagle Mountain Fire Departments, Briar Reno, I believe, all the unincorporated areas of the county.
Okay, and we will be able to handle, Everman will be able to handle all of that.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And quite frankly, we already are doing that today. This agreement is just going to change how the money is being funded to us. Currently, the way we're funding the operation is through Tarrant County Fire Alarm. That contract is terminating at the end of this month. Now we're entering into the agreement to take over that agreement. The funding will come straight to the city of Everman rather than going through the fire alarm board to come to us.
Cool.
Any other questions? Poll the council.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item E, resolution number 2023-02-04, resolution of the city council of the city of Everman, Texas, approving a first amended and restating interlocal cooperation agreement for Wichita Street widening project with the city of Forest Hill, Texas, authorizing the city manager to execute said agreement and providing an effective date. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 2023-02-04 as read.
Second.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
That was.
Any further discussion?
We did just approve a resolution last meeting for this interlocal agreement. There was an amendment that was required due to negotiations between the city of Forest Hill and the city of Fort Worth that did not involve any changes with the city of Everman. However, it did have to change the actual interlocal agreement. Therefore, it's being brought back to you with a recommendation for approval.
Would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Item F, ordinance number 793, an ordinance of the city of Everman, Texas, authorizing and calling for a May 6, 2023 general municipal election for the purpose of electing persons to the offices of council member places 1, 3, and 5, authorizing a joint election with other Tarrant County political subdivisions, authorizing a contract for election services with Tarrant County, providing a runoff date, providing an effective date. I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve ordinance number 793 as read.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
Provide some clarification here. So council is required to still call the election. Places 1, 3, and 5 are going to be running uncontested. So next meeting, we will look to adopt an ordinance canceling that election. We have to call the election in order for you to claim uncontested and swear you into your seat. So that's what we're doing tonight. We'll be calling the election, even though next meeting we will look to cancel the election. It's a process that we still have to go through.
Gotcha.
So congratulations. On 4 more years.
Any questions? Comments?
It was a tough race.
Would you poll the council?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5,
Aye.
place 6,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
The next item G, ordinance number 794, an ordinance of the city of Everman, Texas, amending ordinance 774, total appropriations budget for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2022, providing a repealer clause and severability clause and providing an effective date. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 794 as read.
Second.
Motion made second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to hit some of the highlights of this real quick, if that's okay, and give some explanation and then give you an opportunity to answer or ask any questions that you may have. Couple of highlights under finance, section 120, some of the big hitters that hit us this last budget. Our property and liability insurance came in $55,000 over what was budgeted. That was just due to a premium increase that was not anticipated. We were offsetting that with some other revenue. In the fire department, if you look underneath fire, there's $35,000 in grant purchases. That is showing to be a debit, and you will not see a $35,000 credit matching that debit in this budget. That is because we're crossing over years. So the $35,000 was expended last year. We still have not collected that $35,000. We'll collect it this budget year. So you'll see that revenue increase this fiscal year as opposed to last fiscal year. So we had to offset that one a little bit. So that was another big hitter there. We've had some salary overtime expenses in the police department. However, that was offset solely with the additional revenue that we received from the school district. And that's simply due to being still short-staffed. I still have 2 police officer positions that have not been filled. So we've got some overtime expenditures that are still being incurred. Overall budget, though, is still performing very well. It's just we've got some overtimes that's going to have to be offset later on. The fleet, let me talk about the fleet. So the fleet cost came in a little higher. That's because we still have some vehicles that have not been turned back in and sold yet in the last fiscal year. So we're going to see the resale of those queue back up this next fiscal year, and you should see additional revenue above and beyond what was budgeted this next fiscal year is the hope. Let's see. Library had some capital expenditures to include the circulation desk and the AC units that had to be replaced. Almost all of water is there's nothing extraordinary in water that you didn't know about before. Texas Water Development Board funds require a budget amendment when we've expended those. And then obviously the ARPA expenses that you approved on the water system improvements totaling at $405,000 has to be included in there. Wastewater treatment sewer fees, that's an offset. We collect that fee from the residents when they pay their water bill. So when we see an increase in expenditures, we obviously see a matching increase in revenue there as well. So that's nothing to be worried about. The non-departmental capital expenditures, the $196,000, that was from the street improvement tax, correct? $196,000. Yeah, it's from street improvement tax for Ray Street and Christopher Drive. Obviously with Christopher Drive, that was offset with the revenue the county paid for the materials there. But we still had to touch $196,000 for Ray Street. Fire dispatch, that's all part of the construction fund from the CO bond issue. So those just have to be offset. When you see reserves, it's not that we're pulling from reserves, it's that we received the bond, it was put into reserve until we spend it, that's where it stays.
Okay.
Now that we've spent it, we've got to pull it out and pay for it. So I don't want you to see that word reserve and panic a little.
Yeah.
One thing you will not see on here is that we had an unexpected deficit with property tax revenues this past year, totaling almost $250,000. That is due to a miscalculation of some sort between the county. The county calculation is given to us, and that calculation is what is utilized to project what our property tax revenue is going to be every year. And we came up almost $250,000 short of what was projected based off the numbers that we got from the county. That could be due to varying issues, from people contesting property taxes to people winning those contests, or to them still being held up in court. It could also be to some sort of miscalculation. We're trying to research that. The auditors identified it as an issue, and then our financial advisors identified it as an issue, an area of concern. So we're trying to track down exactly how that happened and why it's such a large deficit.
Is Everman the only city that's happened to?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know that either.
Okay, so
They have not stated that to us. So.
okay, well, we've had trouble, not we Everman, but Tarrant County has had trouble with TAD in the past. And I just want to make sure that they're not picking on Everman. And if they've done this to other people,
We received numbers several times, and we'll just
You're
say
right.
it that way.
And if they've done this to other cities, somebody needs to be investigated. This is unacceptable. $250,000 is a lot of money for a little town. This needs to be looked into.
Yes. Yeah, we're still trying to track it down. At first, we thought maybe we just had that many contests. We did ask for a survey of the contest at TAD, and there, it wasn't $250,000.
No.
So there's something else going on.
Yes.
We're trying to figure that out.
Ineptitude
Well-
comes to mind, but cheating,
Because we are notified when they do contest
Yes, we
their
are.
property taxes.
Yes.
It's nothing.
exactly.
Well, I mean,
This is
it is in the thousands, but it's not near the hundreds of thousands.
totally unacceptable.
So altogether, we're going to recommend that we utilize $102,000 in ARPA funds to offset the many overages that we've got. This will allow the city to not have to pull from reserves to balance last year's budget. And I'm going to strongly encourage that we do not pull from reserves. It's what our financial advisors have been pushing for. That's what the creditors have been pushing for, is to stop dipping into reserves. We need to be
Yes.
able to contribute to our reserves.
Yes.
And we need to show a positive trend. We can do that by utilizing ARPA funds to offset that rather than reserve funds to do that.
Yes.
So that's going to be our recommendation here with this budget amendment. As far as how much is going to be contributed to reserves, we won't know that until the audit is complete and the auditors provide the report to you, which should be in the coming months, next month.
Okay, on the library, up under the library, the amount, was that none of those items, taken from the ARPA funds?
So the majority of the library capital is paid for by insurance proceeds, but the air conditioners were not. Those were just standard maintenance issues. Just like if we had an AC system go out on any other building, it was something that we were just faced with having to replace. I think
Okay.
each AC system was about $2,500, 3,000, somewhere in there. A little more. It wasn't.
Okay,
It
and so
wasn't
the
cheap.
remainder was, okay, for the library capital, it's 28,000. So you said that there were two ACs, correct? And that was 2,500, so that's 5,000. And so where the remainder went for the desk?
Yeah, the circulation desk that was damaged in the flooding from the winter storm in February of 2021.
Both front desks, the circulation desk and the main desk.
So the two desks cost $22,000.
AC.
No, that was 5,000 for the AC.
Right, because there's two units and
Okay.
they each cost
The AC,
2,500.
she just told me the ACs were $13,000. So the desk would have cost $15,000.
All right, so that's
Because
26.
there was, it wasn't just an AC. They added an additional 3 ducts, and there was a lot of work that came in and had to do additional work on top of replacing the actual units. So it was like 13,500 something.
So it was 13,000 for both of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, back on the first page, I guess for the awards banquet, we had donations for 10,000 to cover that.
Yes, ma'am. That event was covered entirely by donation.
Okay, up under parks, the parking lot repair, which was 45,000,
Mhm.
that was offset by these professional services.
So, no, it was offset by other identified savings. So as when we go through and Susan's working on budget amendments, she tries to identify already existing savings before we have to dip into reserves or find outside funding to come in and support the account. And it has to be within the same fund. So Public Works, she pulled from Public Works salary savings because we had some savings there, health insurance, those kinds of things to offset that. And if you recall, when we approved the parking lot repairs at Pittman Park and Johnson Park, I did warn council that we do not have any identified budget for this, and that this would likely be something that would have to hit reserves. So fortunately, Susan was able to identify other areas of savings within the budget that offset it, so we're not having to pull from reserves to fund that.
Okay, under police, you're saying that you had to for overtime, because you have not hired the amount and you have 2 positions open, the amounts for those salaries, will those not cover overtime this year?
So it's two different line items. You have a salaries line item, which was already over by $14,000. And then a salaries overtime line item, which that one was over by $29,000. And that's a hefty overage. We often have overtime overages. We've seen overtime overages in the police department every year. And we continue every year to try to budget accordingly and increase that, and it never fails. We continue to see overages. And whether that's due to incidents that are happening or staffing coverage, whatever it may be, we continue to see issues there. This was entirely offset. If you remember, when we approved the budget, we did not have a calculation of the service fees and the increased contract from the school district, right? Those come at two different times. We doubled the school district staffing for police officers, and therefore all of this was offset with the additional SRO funds that were received from the school district and the ARPA allocation that council had already approved for police officers. So all that offset each other. We don't have any extensive overage above and beyond what was already expected to be over.
Any other questions? Would you poll the council?
Place 1. Aye. Place 2.
Aye.
Place 3.
Aye.
Place 4.
Aye.
Place 5.
Aye.
Place 6. Mayor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next item, executive session, section 551.071. Seek legal advice related to city council communications involving complaints with individual citizens. Time is 7:02. We will convene into the break room. All right, Craig? Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. The time is 7:15. No action was taken. Next item is city manager's report.
We've got just a couple of things. A reminder, we've got the citywide cleanup and the bulk trash collection on March the 4th. I do have the flyers built. They're going to start going out on social media tomorrow, and I've already got it on the signage across the street as well. We will also be doing CTYs. The time will be from 8 a.m. to noon. Our staff will plan to be there until 1, just in case we have any latecomers to try to address that issue last year. Where we had some conflicting times and stuff. So we're making sure that our staff will be there and the dumpsters will be there an hour after the end of the event time, just to make sure that we're getting everybody in.
Is it gonna be translated?
Yes, ma'am. It is
And the
translated.
call out too?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is this-
location of them?
Johnson Park.
Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we're actually gonna do it across the street and in that we own that strip of land right there.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it on that vacant strip of
Okay.
land, so we're not tearing up the parking.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see
Good.
my email about paper shredding? Did you
I
ever look
don't-
into that?
And I don't believe I did see your email, but I will look for it here in just a few. My apologies.
No, that's okay.
I have
Just-
635 of them I haven't
a-
read, so.
A citizen asked me about, could there be a paper shredder on site too?
Okay, I will see what we can come up with. I think we would have to contract with another company to do that, but let me see what we can come up with.
Okay, now you're saying, the last pull in, I guess, I don't know how you say it, but the person to drive through is noon, or would that be 1 o'clock? Cause I think that was the problem last time. It was over at 1 and people were still coming
Yeah, we know we're
Through
stop,
at one.
we're stopping at noon.
at noon.
At
Okay.
noon. Our
Could they put that on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just informing you that our crews will plan to be there till 1 in case there's a line or something.
Mhm.
We want to make sure that they didn't get in the line at 11:55
Right.
and they didn't get up there till 12:15 and we turn them away. We'll make sure to get everybody taken care of, but noon is the last time we'll be allowing anybody to get in line.
They don't take paint and stuff like that. Is there anybody that takes paint?
I believe they do take paint.
They do take
I
paint?
I believe they take paint, batteries, tires. I'll check. I'll check.
Yeah, tube with paint, you just pop the lid on it and let it dry out. You can just throw it in your trash. So,
So
Um,
they are gonna take batteries and tires
I
and
I
stuff
believe,
like
I
that?
believe they take all the hazardous
Okay,
materials.
okay,
They did
good.
last time. Yes,
Good,
ma'am.
good.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
What?
Said, oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Battery I'm gonna get rid of.
Regional flood study, that was on the Tarrant County agenda today, for the Tarrant County Commissioners Court. Hey, you okay?
Hi, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. I live over in the townhouses over there. And, my neighbor is trying to work on
Can you-
his
can you-
SUV.
Okay, he's coming. He'll get you taken care of.
I need a heavy flashlight or something like,
Mhm.
and my husband
Uh,
is at work and has it, so.
Okay.
He's sorry to interrupt. Thank you. Sorry.
Came to the right place.
Only in Everman, Texas. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, regional flood study was on the agenda today for the Tarrant County Commissioners Court. It was not discussed. It was listed as a consent agenda item and they approved the consent agenda. So Teagnall and Perkins was awarded the contract to move forward with the regional flood study. I did not get a communication from Randall Skinner today and did you get anything from him?
no.
Mayor,
not
today?
yet.
So I'd imagine we would expect some communication from them here in the next couple of days to get this flood study kicked off and moving. But
What
it has.
company was that?
Teagnall and Perkins. It's actually our city engineer. They were awarded the contract from Tarrant County. Again, this is the flood study that's being funded through TDM. And then COG is going to contribute to expand on that flood study to make sure that we've got the entire region included in that project. So I would imagine that we'll get some communication and get a kickoff meeting set up here pretty quick, moving forward.
I wish I'd been aware of the consent items instead of sitting there watching a meeting for 5+ hours.
Oh,
Sorry, Mayor.
Mm,
It
Okay.
was the first thing they voted on.
oh,
Will that flood study be included in that new housing addition where the pecan orchard was? Because my concern is they're building all that up and all the paint's gonna run down my street and.
So-
Yeah,
Let me come back to you. This isn't an agenda item, so we're not supposed to be going back
You're
and
good.
forth on these things. I'm just kind of filling you in. But I'm happy to bring that information back to you And if you would even like to participate in the meetings, I'm happy with you participating in the kickoff meetings because I know you've been a big part of the flood portion of it. So we're happy to do that. We'll make sure that happens. This week, we're also hosting a corporal promotional exam within the police department. We have a corporal opening that we haven't filled. We have advertised that position. We had 4 that initially put in, 2 of which have actually withdrawn from the process. So I've got 2 that are competing for a corporal promotion. That assessment center will be held on Friday. And so after Friday, we should have a determination on who the next corporal will be within the police department. So
Cool.
next city council meeting, we'll bring them back and make sure to introduce you to them as the new corporal and do a swearing in ceremony. Other than that, I don't have anything else right now, Mayor.
Only thing I had was a flood study. Craig told you about that.
So
So,
sorry.
Still your thunder.
so with that being said, time is 7:00. We are adjourned.